Welcome, everybody. We are doing a real life reading for Jaime. And Mandy and I are just a fun team. We worked together at the retreat that we did, and Jaime just made this beautiful comment. She's like, "You guys, I want to see this more. This should be a podcast." So, anyways, we're recording Jaime's reading, which she's never really had an official human design reading. And to get both of us, this is going to be a lot of fun. So, Jaime, just give us a little bit of who you are and maybe any other information that you want our viewers to know about you.
All right. My name is Jaime Burns, and I'm an emotional projector. We'll probably get into it a little bit more. I've never had a human design reading in this formal context, but it's something that's really come into my life. And as soon as I learned that I was a projector, it's like all these parts of myself were unlocked in this way that I knew myself. If that makes sense, it just felt like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense that I'm this way. And part of my life I was living in that way. And a lot of it, I'm still in the deconditioning part. But yeah, I'm so excited to learn from you both.
We're so happy that you let us in to your body mechanics, and because it's quite revealing. So not everybody wants this, but I am so appreciative. So we have free reign?
Free reign. I'm so excited.
Okay, so let us share screen so our viewers can see your chart, so you can see your chart. And there you are. You are a projector with 3 centers colored in and the rest wide open spaces. So yeah, let what I would like to do is Mandy's a projector.
Yes.
So Mandy, can you give us an overview of what the projector type is?
Yes.
That would be helpful.
So projectors are typically here to guide, teach, lead. We don't have the full amount of energy that, say, a generator or manifesting generator has. So we're kind of more of the watchful type where we're really taking in what's going on in our surroundings. We have so much insight and wisdom to share, but we want to be invited. We really, really, really want to be appreciated, seen, and valued for what we have to share. So if we just share our advice when it's not asked for, then it's just not going to hit. So we want to be given that sort of invitation. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a physical invitation. It can be a question. That's been really big for me lately. Is I feel invited when somebody asks me more about what I'm doing. Or I feel like with certain people in my life, I have an open invitation all the time. They're just always into whatever I have to say. So I don't have to get a new one from them. But you kind of feel that connection with somebody that's just always into what you have to say. And you don't feel that you need to wait for something specific with them. Let's see. I think the other thing is, while I'm waiting for the invitation, I really like to just work on who I am and what's important to me and what makes me happy. And for me, that's human design and how that came into my life. But you don't want to feel like you're just sitting there waiting, but just share who you are, share what interests you, share what's important about your life, what you stand for, what you do. And that's how you get those invitations to come to you. Because if you don't give people any information, then they have nothing to respond to and nothing to invite you on. So you just want to make sure that you're always being open and sharing about who you are so that people can take that invitation and give it to you.
Yeah, that opens up a question for Jaime, because I hear this quite often from projectors that the waiting can be very uncomfortable. And what Mandy's saying is that this waiting isn't just waiting, it's this ability to sort of utilize that downtime in a productive way. Do you agree with that, or do you have any insight on that waiting period, Jamie? Because even though you haven't had an official reading, you do know that strategy as a projector, and you've been practicing it for a while.
Yeah, I deeply resonate with everything that you said, Mandy, as well. And I would say that there's times where I can notice that I didn't exactly wait for the invitation because of the blowback, or just it doesn't work out right. But I do feel like I've really taken this time to evolve myself, work on things that I'm interested in. And I suppose that is part of that more patience aspect of waiting for people to be asking me questions or be inspired by what I'm doing. Part of what I feel that I'm opening myself up to more is being less private and being more out there so that I can get the invitations, because that wasn't something I really understood. And I felt like I was, maybe it was living as a different type or something, but I felt like I was a very private person. And now I feel that little element has shifted a bit, where I feel much more open to expressing myself and meeting new people and sharing my energy, because I think a lot of it is that I'm sensitive to energy. So yeah.
Yeah, and then that brings us to the why. Why are you so sensitive to all of the impact of people around you? It's because of the open centers. You have more open centers, the white spaces, than you have defined. And so, of course, you're going to feel more vulnerable through all of these open spaces, right, Mandy? And so we can briefly go over each one of these and just go a couple key words on those. Mandy, I would love for you to do that. Go through our little keynotes. There's specific words that we use for each open center, and just keep them in mind throughout throughout this reading, that these are the vulnerable spaces. Yeah.
So go ahead and add if I miss anything. But so for head, it's inspiration, ideas. I would say questions as well.
Thinking about things that don't matter and trying to solve other people's problems. Yeah.
Maybe scatterbrained, just taking it all in. Not every inspiration idea that comes through is meant for you. So I think being discerning with it is important. And then the mind is conceptualizing and making thoughts of the questions, the ideas that pop in. So having an undefined mind, that means you're open-minded. You have the ability to see all sides of a situation. So you're not set in a particular way.
Ajna, yeah. So the top is the head, and then this one right below is the ajna. So it's an open ajna. And yeah, all of those are correct, with the add-on of wanting to be certain. It's that stubbornness that happens with this open ajna, where you're certain that you've always thought this thought, and that this is the way I've always done it. So this sort of stubborn holding on to concepts that actually should end up being more fluid, because the open head and ajna has this way of just allowing. It should be like a dolphin, the air comes in and then it moves out. And so the uncomfortable feeling of that, not having control and not being able to grasp on the concepts, will reverse it and make it seem like, well, I need to know that I'm certain that this is the way. And then it becomes a fluid dance if you can allow the softness. So those are the head, thinking about things that don't matter, or wanting to solve other people's problems. And then the certainty, the stubborn certainty can come in there when really it's just the fluidity of the mind because it's for outer authority. Yeah. Okay. And then this one
So
is
the
this
throat.
is you have open throat. Mandy has an open throat, so she knows a lot about this.
So essentially the entire body graph kind of pushes towards the throat. So there's all this pressure to speak, but really what you have to say with an open throat is really important. And so sometimes you make more of an impact by not speaking. So it's being really cognizant of what you're saying and when you're saying it. You want to follow your authority for the right time to speak, and also knowing that you have this fluidity of speaking with different voices, that you don't have a certain voice, you don't have a certain way of speaking, you don't have a filter that guides what you speak about, but knowing that you have the ability to kind of flow in and flow out, you can match other people's voice to be heard a little bit more.
Yeah, and then that one sentence, I love all these sentences that go with each open center. So what we usually say with an open throat is wanting to attract attention or not. It can go both ways. The one that, and in your case, Jamie, from the way you were just sharing, the wanting to get out there more, you might be one of the open throats that decided to be more quiet instead of the one that felt the pressure of having to be seen, so that's the vulnerability around the throat, either wanting to be seen, and then the pressure to speak, or it goes the opposite where the pressure is so much that you end up being really quiet and meek in the throat. Yeah. But still, the underlying theme is wanting to attract attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And only 30% of the planet have an open throat. Majority of us have defined throats, consistent and reliable voices. And Jamie and I have discussed this before. Remember, we've had little interactions with your open throat. Can you share? Do you remember any of them? I know you have an open-headed national. I have it defined, so I remember everything, but you may not.
I know. I'm like, was it my open throat? I feel like there's been times where we've set up a call and then you'll be like, oh, you're not ready. I don't know if that has to do with the throat particularly. Like, I feel it had more to do with my emotional wave.
Yeah. No, some of the conversations that we've had, you would just be talking and talking and talking. And I'm like, oh, that's your open throat. Can I speak? That kind of thing. It just goes, once it starts going, it's almost hard to kind of whittle your way in there. That's all. And I have mentioned that to you. Like, did you feel your throat? Did you feel your throat just going? That's what I meant.
All right. Yeah. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, it is kind of like when I get lit up or impassioned about something, I can feel like then I go, but I tend to be more of that stoic, observant, quiet one than being loud.
I should feel honored that you were able to open up and feel confident just to use your throat, amplify your throat. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, really good. Nice. All right. Yeah. So go on to a spleen. We're going down to the corner, left corner.
So the spleen is the center for health, immunity, as well as intuition. So I feel like it's also the center for fear. So I think feel like there is a misnomer that you don't have an intuition. You do. It's not always accessible. So it's kind of in flux. You may tend to hold on to things longer than you need to. So sometimes people say like it's hard to get rid of a job or a relationship that you know that you're just shouldn't be in anymore, but you just cling to it because that's safe for you. Does that resonate with you?
Totally resonates. That totally resonates. It feels, I can have so many instances in my life that I've been in it and I'm like, I don't need to be in this anymore. But for some reason I'm held in the structure. It almost feels like, yeah, maybe it's the safety of just knowing that that's the reality that I'm in.
Yeah, the open spleen is a huge hot spot for you in your body mechanics. So can I share a little bit about how you're nomad and couch
Yeah.
surfing? I mean, that is courageous. That is like so powerful for this design. It's almost like you are building your courage through that. These are like the instinctual trust and surrender that is so profound in your healing journey. And so I commend you for that, because it's not easy to do what you're doing and have an open spleen like this, which is what Mandy was just describing, all of that vulnerability and fear. And it's 70% of who you are. Because if we look up here, go ahead and share you can follow. Why is that so significant? Her 57th in her earth on her design side.
So that is what grounds you on your design side. So the 51 is your sun sign is your purpose, and then your earth sign is what grounds you. So without that intuition, that you can maybe feel like chaotic and out of place and lost in some sense. So let's see, intuition is fear of the future.
Yeah, fear of the future.
So the two sides, the 57 gate is the strongest intuition, the gate of intuition throughout the whole spleen. And then the fear side of that is fear of the future.
Yeah, and this is on an open center, so it's inconsistent and unreliable for you. So it wants to hold on to safety. So just commending you for the ability to surrender in your power and your fear, because it's big. And so what you're doing is not an easy task. It's like up front and center, so do you have anything to say about
that? Yeah, I do feel like I'm living this lifestyle that I didn't intend. It just kind of happened and now it's still rolling out and I've been doing it for a while. So in a sense, it feels like there's an ease in that. But I would say that developing my intuitive abilities has been a game changer, to have tools to access that intuitiveness, because I would say I feel very intuitive in a lot of the decisions that I'm making, but it is a lot of different changing of energies with different people, and the structure and not really having that stability is a challenge to arrive at. So I do feel like I'm going through this incredible evolution because it's happening so fast. And like, even some of my friends are like, how did you get? And I'm like, well, I'm moving around, I'm doing this. And it's because I'm literally in a challenge most of the time, which is so funny, but also really inspires me to feel that, oh, I'm growing. I can feel my expansion. I can feel, oh, I'm not even the same person that I was 2 weeks ago. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and then to be reminded of the most important aspect of human design is the inner authority. So this has nothing to do with the way you make decisions. It's just the hot spot that you're watching out for that can pull you off of your inner authority. But we'll come to that inner authority after we finish the other two centers, I think. So we'll move to, let's do the root first. Yeah, go for it.
So the root is the center for stress, adrenaline. It also has pressure to be productive. So not having it defined, you can really pull other people's stress into your body and take it on and amplify it. Feel the pressure to always perform, to always be productive, to always be doing something. And to try to get rid of that, you might feel this pressure to like, okay, if I hurry up and get this done and get this off my list, that pressure will go away. Mm-hmm. But in reality, that pressure is always there. Mm-hmm. It's just constant.
Constant pressure. amplifying the stress of all of us. It comes in and it makes this frantic feeling, and it does affect the nervous system. So it can either go really, really fast, right? Or find that zen so easily as well, which I know completely because I also have an open root. So the zen, that's the yoga, the meditation, easy to get there, but also easy to be frantic and pressurized by society, basically. Going into the grocery store and all of a sudden you're like, oh, gotta hurry up. And it's like, well, that's because we're amplifying the pressure all around us. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. So all these open centers, they are not what we use to make decisions by. So just knowing what each frequency is from head to root, to recognize which center is speaking the loudest, right? And this root center has more activations and conscious activations because they're black than any. So this can be a hotspot as well, but more of a mind access, more cognitive, intellectual. You get that, like you're nodding your head, I got that pressure. Whereas the splenic center was a little bit more elusive, and it's a deeper inquiry into not self. Whereas the root is easy to recognize, oh, and it's a big deal because anything, the head and the head and the ajna pressure, and then the root is extreme pressure. So it's really easy to recognize when that's pulling us off of our emotional authority. But yeah. All right. So then the completely open sacral.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is next, the sacral center.
So that is life force energy, and that's what drives 70% of the population, which you and I are not included in that 70%. So we do have the wisdom to know when enough is enough, but we may feel, especially with that open root, that pressure to just perform, to stay up with everybody else, to have the energy that they have when you don't, and then you get burned out.
Yeah, being the super slave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not knowing when enough is enough.
Yeah. So the pressure to do a 9-to-5 job or to be active, like my daughter and my husband are both generators. So, feeling that pressure to keep up with them when I can't. And if I let that pressure get to me, then I get burned out. So I have to respect that I don't have that, and I take time to myself to wind down and to separate from them and get back into my own energy and knowing what I'm really capable of myself and not what's getting driven by them. Because I can also tell when I'm around my husband, I have this drive to do more. And then I have to make sure that I'm respecting the fact that I do need to take a break and kind of come down from that and not think that I can go, 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 go.
Yeah. And so as a manifesting generator sitting next to the projector, she's getting jacked up. She's like, so much juice right now from and maybe you're feeling it too, Jamie, feeling my sacral and amplifying it so that it's, we always say this, inconsistent, unreliable, because you're utilizing my energy to, do stuff kind of. And so then you're going to get burnt out and go, oh my gosh, why did I do so much? Now I need to rest. Yeah.
That's huge. I feel like even what you were saying about coming back to your own energy is like, if I don't do that, I'm so lost on what is even going on. I feel so splatted. And so then when I come back, now I have this practice of coming back to really identify more and be more consciously aware of what is my energy, what is other people's energy, and trying to build more that barrier of separation so that I can honestly just feel better. Because it does feel like there's a lot of exchange, probably from all of these opennesses, of
Mhm.
amplifying other people. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then being around other people, not living, like you said, it's like not living in my own apartment by myself, now I'm sharing a lot of energies, and yeah, it's so different. Quite
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah, and the key always is to stay connected to our highest, most purest positive self. And so the spatial referencing of each of these centers, mind, ajna, throat, safety in the body, the spleen, that intuition, knowing what is the life force and where it's coming from, which generator are you picking up on, you know and then the root pressure. So these are all ways to spatial reference and go, oh, that's not me. I'm just amplifying. And then we come to what truly is you, which is these three definitions, these G center, the ego center or heart center, and then your inner authority, the most important. And I think we'll just go right to the emotional center.
Yeah.
We'll do this emotional center and talk about your definition here, which is the channel of community and what emotional authority looks like. So yeah, go for it, Mandy.
So emotional authority, that means that you make your decisions through emotional clarity. So not from a high or a low. I actually have a similar wave. So this is the tribal wave. It's it can build and build and build, and then you explode. So you want to try to dissipate that along the way, trying to get those emotions out. In the meantime, it can also mean that you're very sensitive to touch. And so sometimes having that right form of touch with somebody, because community, it's a very connecting oriented channel that you have, right? So you're really connected to people that you're close with. So having personal touch between somebody, especially if you're starting to kind of build, that can help dissipate some of that tension a little bit in you. Of course, the build is kind of frustrating because it doesn't mean that when you explode that that's the thing that really caused you to explode, that that's not what you're really upset about. It was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. So you just, at that point, you had enough. But it's not necessarily the most important thing of the whole world that set it off. It's just that, like, you couldn't keep it in anymore. So I don't know if you resonate with that. You feel that?
Interesting. I actually feel like my love language would be physical touch. Like I really enjoy that. And not being in partnership, like romantically, I feel that, yeah, I go to massages, I go to body worker. Like I pay people to touch me because it's so important for, just, I know that I'm like, oh, I need to be touched, because I actually feel I get a lot of information from touch about my body and what's going on. And it helps me arrive in a different way of settling myself and being like, oh, okay, yeah, it's that. Where if I'm not, or I'm not in those instances of being touched, even a hug, I'm like, I think we're supposed to get 7 hugs a day. I'm definitely not getting that. So it's like, feels like it's missing, it's like, oh yeah, that's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of activations in your solar plex. And the sixth gate is that key to the tribal touching. So, and it's the drive, the unconscious body drive. So everything that you said just matches your design. So it's so perfect. I love human design.
I love when it does that.
Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, so then what is the, we should let you describe waiting that emotional wave, because you've been in the experiment. So those two things, waiting for the invitation and then waiting for your emotional wave and tuning into decision making over time. How does that feel? And if you have any questions for us on that, we can respond, I can respond to, and invite Mandy to share more about her, because Mandy is also defined solar plex. You two have the same inner authority.
Yes.
Emotional projectors.
Yay. I actually find this is the trickiest aspect because it's a wave. And so sometimes I don't know that I'm having this clarity. And this is what I was mentioning about the instance before, where I'm like, okay, and it's probably that other pressure to be there when I'm not there. And so, yeah, it can feel like I do feel like an emotional being, like easy to access anything, like joy or tears or any kind of emotion is pretty easy for me to express, which feels powerful, but it also feels like in this world that we're living, it's not so kind to emotional out it's not an outburst, but just feeling very deeply. Like I can be at a concert and just weep from the beauty of it or something and access that potential of tears coming out. But for making decisions from that place, it's a tricky part. I definitely feel like I'm waiting more, like I'll sleep on it. Because before I was just kind of making plans, like even this week I had plans every day of the week, and that's rare for me. I don't like it. I can feel that I don't like that, even though all of my plans are amazing things and it's just like one thing in the day. But I just feel like, no, I need more of a break than that, you know? So it's like when my books are full, I actually already, it's like feeling not good. So, but making decisions, I would say it's, yeah, that part I'm like, sometimes I'm not on the right part of the wave to be accessing directness for that. And also the challenge is because others are not on an emotional wave and they can make decisions much faster or with like their intuitive spleen or whatever, then they're arriving in a different way. And I do have a business partnership and she's a generator and she's splenic. So she's like there and I'm like, I can't give right now on that. I can't lend a decision for that. And so sometimes I feel like a lot of the decisions that get made, because she just arrives ahead of time, of my time. And then when I'm finally on board with it, maybe the decision I don't like, you know, we're in conflict. So then it's like, okay, well, whose authority is correct? So that's like more of an instance where I can see this in relationship, how it's so different because the emotional is longer.
Yeah, I felt that wave of yours just now. I felt the disappointment of not being fast enough and also not being seen. Because then you're not seen because she's already made the decision so quickly. And the advice would be for her to honor your timing a little bit, knowing that that's part of what human design is. This is relationship coaching, and that I you would just command your space and say, guess what? I need more time, and that it's okay. And she can honor that, right? Do you do that?
Yeah, I love that she's also human design. I mean, we're not like super, but we're interested in it. We understand about it. So there is like, I feel with her, we get these breakthroughs because we're both honoring our design and we can say those words of like, oh, it's because I'm a projector and I need to wait and I don't want to make a decision on this right now, or I need to get more clarity. Or I'll tell her if I'm distanced from, you know, she'll ask me a question or something. And if I have distance from it, it's because I'm on the wave and I don't have my moment. And so she can understand that because she's also interested in human design and working her way through what does that all mean, and also a geek on it in the way that we have
Oh,
interest.
that's excellent.
So,
That's so good.
yeah.
That's so good. So yeah, so then it's just you commanding that for yourself to help you feel comfortable and confident in your own skin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that's also me learning. This is a part that I'm really accessing is I would call my throat chakra, because I've been so quiet and just like letting others do things and then make decisions. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't like it. It doesn't feel good. You know,
Right.
it's like, yeah, I want to, because actually, like what projectors are here, it's like I carry a unique perspective and I live a very unique way. And I have a lot of insights that I don't often share because of all these other, you know, either I'm in the wrong time or I wasn't invited or, you know, like all these things. So I'm like, okay, well, some of it's not maybe meant to land with somebody in that
Right.
moment.
And then you have so much power
Mhm.
to be able to command that self-worth and that knowing and bring it out. So it truly is you to command that and have the will to say that and do that. So your true self is strong.
My true self. Yes, my 3 centers. I'm like, yeah, I do feel that I know myself. I'm getting to know myself more. I actually feel like human design is confirming who I am. And that feels so powerful because when I get the confirmations, it's like, oh, it's like the recognition that projectors are after too. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, I knew this about me. Maybe there was also that certainty, that stubbornness of, yeah, I know myself, but I also feel that open-mindedness of like, oh yeah, I can see all sides of this. Yeah,
I
this
love it. I love it. So how about sharing a little bit about how you find your inner authority that might give insight.
Okay. I did want to say one quick thing. I also think you may struggle a little bit because of the 5 in your profile. Because I've heard that. I don't have a 5 in my profile, but I've heard it as sort of like the witch wound, that you're afraid to speak up, that you feel wounded, or maybe like you haven't been appreciated for things that you've said in the past, and so you just don't speak anymore.
Ah, yes, the fifth line. The fifth line is that projection field where people assume that you know and that you could save them, and then that whatever you say has such solid power that if it gets burned at the stake or your reputation goes, and so that's the witch,
Yeah,
the witch wound,
witch wound.
witch wound. I never have heard it said that way,
It's
but that's
yeah.
it. So you were burned at the stake, you know, like you said this, but you were wrong. I'm gonna,
Yeah. That'll
right.
get me to be quiet so fast
Yeah.
when I'm wrong and it's pointed out to me and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't need to share that anymore. And
Right.
yeah,
And so
I definitely resonate on that one.
that's a wound. That's a wound. But it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, I know this because I'm a 6'3". I was trial and error forever. So you do she's
She's a 3-5.
yeah, you have
3-5.
the trial and error, so it's mistakes are our nature.
Just
Just
how you
doesn't
learn.
feel good. Be like, oh, fail. Okay, fail.
Yeah, yeah. Trial and error.
Yeah.
Cool.
But also from an emotional standpoint, I see it. It's easier for me to see it in other people, so I see it a lot in my daughter, where and especially I'm curious for you from the material standpoint, but she'll see something she wants to buy, and she's just, oh my gosh, I have to have it, and she's totally in tears if I don't let her have it, and then honestly, she'll never talk about it again. So I know that if I let her make that decision to buy that item right there, that was not from an emotional clarity. You know, she was making that from an emotionally driven or charged place, and that is not how emotional clarity comes in. So for myself, I've definitely seen where I've said I wanted to do things and I'm so excited about it, and then a couple days later I wake up and I'm like, oh, that sounds like an awful idea. But in the moment, it sounded great because I was really excited about something, or maybe I was picking up somebody else's sacral and their desires, and it sounded amazing. But then once I really thought about it, it just wasn't. It wasn't for me. And so it's like riding out that wave. I've also found for me more as I gain insights from my emotions. I think that's been the biggest for me is sometimes I get really sad about something and I just sit there and I'm like, why am I sad right now? Especially if I should be happy. And then I start to piece together bits and pieces of like things that have come up in the past and how they're resurfacing, and just sort of retelling myself things that I've kind of put aside, I guess. I don't know if that's like things that I've bottled up and I didn't realize were affecting me, and then all of a sudden through my emotions they come out of nowhere.
Oh, I feel this deeply. It's really interesting because there's two ways of looking at this. One is sadness is just no story put on it.
Yeah.
No story, just it's an emotional wave. Oh, well, I'm low on my emotional wave. And then stop with the mental chatter about it. But then what Mandy's sharing is that sometimes these sadnesses or moods have self-awareness to them, and that digging deep into them will help feel it to heal it. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different ways of looking at that, and you have to discern. As an emotional being, I bet you that is not easy to discern whether one is necessary for clearing and deeper awareness. But let me just pause 1 second. Projectors are here for the other. You're not here for yourself. So you did that deep inner knowing and shit. It's mainly for generators, not for projectors. So to beat yourself up on your emotional wave as a projector may not be as beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if there's deep trauma and wounds that need to be cleared, it's so the journey to finding ourselves is different for everybody. Yeah. And for Mandy, it's a lot. Oh, feeling such deep sadness. It's a lot because her mind is the most dominant aspect of who Mandy is. So there's a lot of decluttering old stories that is part of her design, but not necessarily your design. So your sadness, I would think, is just sadness.
Yeah. And that's the hard part about saying, like, I can't tell you exactly how it's going to feel for you, because all the bits and pieces in my design make me different, even though we do share a 3 in our profile, the projector and the emotional.
Yeah. But see this 5354 right here. This is where Mandy is in her mind and yours is in your body. Yours is in your root. So it's a whole different story.
And all of her sun and earth signs are in undefined centers.
51, yeah. No.
Oh,
51 is in the ego.
That's the only one.
In the heart center. And then
the other 3
are on open centers, which are hot spots. Like we said, that 57, holding on to things that will keep you safe, and you're doing the opposite. I love it. That courage that you have is incredible. That's a big flip.
Yeah.
But she also, I think, is very strongly driven by the will and the ego. And so I think that helps.
Yeah. And so then your strong will and self-worth and power here is what balances that out. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. It's always genetic continuity. Everything is not isolated. It is all connected and in genetic continuity. It's a perfect way of saying that. It's continuous. Gosh, I have a client that I have to go to. But so we ended on that solar plex, on the emotional inner authority. And I don't know, will you projectors can invite me to do this again on the same chart, and maybe my chakra will go, because this was so much fun. Any last thoughts? Closing up my projector guides that you are.
I mean, I think there's always more to learn and understand, but I think it's really diving into the pieces that you have so far, and not trying to pressure yourself to do it all. Right? Like you said about living your design 100%. I don't think anybody lives their design 100%. People flow in and out. You've got a lot of openness, a lot of wisdom, but that also means you're potentially subjected to a lot of conditioning, and it's never going to go away because it's always going to be flowing around you. So really like you said, focusing on how to protect your own energy, know what's yours, what's not. And having that openness, that is wisdom. That's where you can see the things that the rest of us can't see.
Yeah.
Where we have the divine defined head and defined ajna or mind. But you can pull the parts from what we're saying, what we're thinking, what our ideas and inspiration are, and take what's relevant to you, and not have to be subjected to that all the time, right? You get the wisdom to see both sides.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, because my partner Charlene, the one we do retreats with, we're having another retreat June 13th, and we'll have a monthly. She is completely open, head and ajna, and none of it is relevant. None of these details, none of these facts really matter. What only is relevant is the frequency and the energy that you feel in your body. It's always body, none of it's mind. So let all of what we just said go and see if you could just feel into it.
I feel that my sentience is really strong, and I do latch into the feeling center.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of how I built, but it does feel like, yeah, I miss, like, oh, what was that? What are the details? Even in my life of zooming out of all of these big projects that I have, the details are the part that I really have a hard time. And it's so fascinating, because it's like, can I just do A, B, A, B? I'm like, I'm already holding so much, so I'm like learning to use my energy in a better way.
That's exactly it for the open head and ajna. It is completely foreign the way that we do it. We're just so intellectual. I mean, like, I cannot even go anywhere without like reading something. I'm like, I need like, right? It's like, I gotta pick something up, look at it, read it, analyze it. It's completely different than the open head and ajna. So just do what you're doing and not get caught up in the mind. It's about your frequency, and you are so powerful. Oh my gosh, your ego center and your will, and you're doing it. So I love you so much.
I love you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. Until next time, everybody. Thanks for watching.